All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for round two of the Legacy Tour here in Huntsville, brought to you by MTG Training Grounds. This match is going to feature Kieth Albritton on the left on lands, playing against Sterling Richards on the right, playing Eldrazi Stompy. Give me just a second. I will find these players' deck lists, and we will get this match underway. While we are waiting for these players to start, I would like to thank everybody for joining us. Today we have a 5 rounds of Swiss event as there are 24 players present, which will be followed by a single elimination top 8. Alright, both players have presented their decks and we are resolving the die roll for who is going to be playing first. It looks as though I think Sterling won that, so I'm sure he will wish to be on the play as the Eldrazi Stompy deck gets a huge advantage by powering out turn 1 Chalice of the Voids. Now, quick glance over their deck lists here. It looks like Sterling is running a pretty standard list. This is the straight colorless list. Cards of note are 2 Thorn of the Amethyst in the main deck, along with the 4 Chalice of the Voids, and also 2 Trinispheres, which could really help put the clamps on Kieth, or Ryan as he normally goes by, on his mana development. It looks like Sterling would like to ideally have an opening hand with a Chalice of the Void, as that will give him the most benefit in this matchup. Looks like he does not. He's going to be leading off on an Eldrazi Temple and probably just passing the turn unless he has a Mimic or something. All right, he does not, so Kieth takes his draw step and will, if I had to guess, he'll probably be leading off on a Taiga. Yeah, he's using a Wooded Foothills fetch land to find himself a Taiga, and I think he's going to just try and resolve that gamble right away, get it out of the way before Sterling can do something like play a Chalice or play a Thought-Knot Seer and take it away from him. Now, unfortunately, if the gamble resolves such that Ryan keeps or Kieth, sorry, keeps the life from the loam in his hand, then something like a Thought-Knot Seer would be able to take it, be able to get it. I'm just going to go in here a second and update Ryan's name as he prefers to go by Ryan. All right. So Ryan is looking through his library. Oh, it appears Ryan has forgotten to de-sideboard. Perhaps I think I saw maybe a choke in there. Oh, unfortunately, yes. The ruling here for a improper deck presentation is that um, he will be issued a game loss, and that's rather unfortunate for Ryan, as this is the game one matchup is probably slightly better for him. Um, Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to resolve this as a judge call. Just a second. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we were able to resolve that judge call. And as we were saying just before, presenting an illegal deck at a competitive REL event, the penalty is a game loss. So yeah, unfortunately, Ryan, because he presented his deck with sideboard cards, He is going to have a game one game loss, and we will move into game two where both players are able to sideboard. So looking at Sterling Richards' sideboard, he has 3 Leyline of the Voids. Those are probably pretty good in this matchup, as lands does rely pretty heavily on the Life from the Loam engine and its sideboard. A pair of Ratchet Bombs, which I don't think are very important here. 2 Warping Whales, which he probably isn't in dire need of. 2 Pithing Needles, which could be really good at stopping things like a quick Merit Lage kill or a Wasteland. 2 Winter Orbs, also very good against lands, as lands is very land heavy deck and reliant on its lands. 2 Spatial Contortions, a Dismember, and an Endbringer. Those are probably for the creature matchups, not exactly the cards we're looking for here. I think it's most likely that Sterling will be boarding out his removal, things like Warping Whale, Dismember, and Umazawa's Jite. From Ryan's side, he has a Chalice of the Void of his own, a Trinisphere of his own, 4 Krosan Grips, 2 Chokes, 4 Sphere of Resistance, 1 Caracas, 2 Warping Whale. It is likely that he would want to board in some. Oh, and there we have a very fast start from Ryan with Mox Diamond into Exploration and Mana Bond with a second land, and the Mana Bond trigger will allow him to discard his Life in the Loam and play a Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. That is a very powerful opener from the land's player. Sterling moves into his first turn. Um, in this case, something like a Ratchet Bomb could be pretty powerful, as Ryan does not have a second mana source, and if he were to just activate the Ratchet Bomb right away, um, he would get to take away the Mox Diamond and leave Ryan with no mana sources. So um, Ryan is going to dredge Life from the Loam. He found there's a Maze of Ith there already, but he was able to find both uh, Taiga and Thespian Stage. Now, I think again here the end of turn trigger from Mana Bond is going to allow him to put all 3 of those lands onto the battlefield, which he opts to do, and we are back to Sterling for his second turn. Now, this, yeah, like we said, this is a really brutal opener from the lands player. These are the kind of hands that very few decks can compete with. Yeah, something like Storm or Goblin Charbelcher would be a deck that could maybe keep up or fight with this, but almost anything else is going to struggle immensely as the combination of Mana Bond and an active dredging Life from the Loam is just savage. I don't know that Sterling can really play much here that doesn't just get him into some major trouble with the Tabernacle. Um, yeah, the Thorn of Amethyst is probably a good start, or would have been if he had it on his turn one. But at this point, it's just too slow. Now, on the plus side, Ryan seems to be whiffing on his, at least for this turn, on his Life from the Loam. So, given that he dredged a second Life from the Loam, though, I think it's very likely that he will. Yeah, he's just leaving that in his hand. He'll dredge the other one, and he'll probably use Thespian Stage to copy one of his other lands, so that it's a little bit more useful in the future here. Alternately, if Ryan didn't want to cast the Life from the Loam, he could have just discarded it to the Mana Bond trigger. Let's see, for Sterling's third turn, as he starts off here, he probably would like to see something like an Eldrazi Temple, as that would. I'm sorry, not Eldrazi Temple, an Eye of Ugin, as that would potentially give him the ability to deploy 2 creatures this turn, and maybe start to work his way around Maze of Ith. Unfortunately, with that Thespian Stage around, he's going to have a hard time working around a Maze of Ith. Unfortunately, that the land he does have, Wasteland, is pretty ineffective in this matchup specifically. Um, this is going to be a tough one for Sterling to come back from, but we'll see. He has a handful of cards and potentially some powerful interaction. It's like Sterling is just going to send the turn back, and uh, Thespian Stage is now copying a Wasteland. On his upkeep, he's using Wasteland to to destroy Sterling's wasteland, and um, presumably then Sterling will use his. He does. He uses it to destroy the tabernacle. Unfortunately, there is another Life from the Loam in the graveyard, and there's a Punishing Fire to go with it. So um, the 3 mana available from his lands and his mocks will get him back probably that tabernacle, the Thespian stage, and I guess he didn't have any other lands. There's no fetch lands or anything like that to find, but those 2 are good enough, I suppose, that you can make his 2 land drops for turn and send it back to Sterling. Now it is possible with a decent combination of draws, like another Thorn of Amethyst, um, and a series of creatures like Endbringer, that Sterling could claw his way back into this game. Um, there's a Mishra's Factory, not exactly the one you're looking for. The downside to all of this for Sterling is that the longer it takes for him to find a threat, something like this Reality Smasher, which we'll be able to get into 5 damage here as no, I take it back. The Maze of Ith is going to prevent it from dealing damage. Now, um, uh, if Ryan is able to, or if Sterling's able to fade Wasteland, no, he cannot. The Wasteland has been found, and that is probably going to be too much for Sterling to overcome, barring some really good draws here, like a Pithing Needle of his own. I think he had Pithing Needles. Yes, Pithing Needles would be a way to deal with the Wastelands. Otherwise, that's going to be very problematic in the long term for him, as he has no good solution, and all of his lands are non-basics. But we'll see what Sterling is able to come up with. He's not without hope yet. Not sure what the land is being tapped for, but there was a Mishra's Factory tapped. All right, so there's a City of Traders. We could potentially see a second Endbringer here. That would give Sterling some offensive capability. In this case, it is simply an Umezawa's Jitte, which is going to just rest on the battlefield and not actually be able to cast anything. Oh, I'm sorry. The Mishra's Factory was tapped because it was paying for the Reality Smasher's trigger from the Tabernacle. I forgot that had come back onto the battlefield. So Ryan has drawn for his turn, I believe, and he's now casting a Life from the Loam targeting Wasteland and 2 other lands, Grove of the Burn Willows and a Taiga, which the Wasteland and the Taiga come down. We'll probably see that Wasteland get used right away to take out the other Eldrazi Temple. Maybe not. Maybe we have different plans. Oh, instead, we're going after the City of Traders. I suppose that does make 2 colorless mana for all spells, whereas Eldrazi Temple would only make 2 for Eldrazi spells. We got the trigger paid for Tabernacle, and Sterling draws for turn. He's got a full grip of cards, which, presumably then he has the potential to do some damage or do some things here, but it's gonna take a pretty unique sequence, I believe. A second Eldrazi Temple, maybe into a Thought-Knot Seer here, or an Endless one for 4, something like that. Nope, simply an equip and an attack, which the Maze of Ith can once again deal with. So Sterling's hand seems a little on the weak side, as Ryan gives Sterling a life to buy back his Punishing Fire, or to, I guess, get back his Punishing Fire is a more accurate description. And we are dredging once again, this time finding the Dark Depths, which is sort of the linchpin piece to finishing this game off for Ryan, as he now can execute the the combination of Dark Depths with Thespian Stage and make the 2020 Merit Lage token, which should pretty quickly end this game, I would think. Ryan is going to discard all the remaining cards in his hand as he activates Mana Bond's ability and puts out enough mana producing lands. I don't know if he has a second Thespian Stage here, so he may have to wait one more turn to... looks like we have a Ghost Quarter and a Wasteland, which will take away 2 of Sterling's mana sources after the upkeep payment is made. And we have probably one more turn cycle until the Merit Lage token will show up and lock this game out. Sterling finds his 4th Eldrazi Temple. Unfortunately, that won't do a whole lot for him, as he already is having trouble casting creature spells, and Ryan is going to end of turn pay the mana to remove one of the counters from Dark Depths, as any efficient player would do. Dredging back life from the loam, we see another Punishing Fire, Mox Diamond, and an Unknown. Unfortunately, I don't think any of this matters. The only important thing now is for Ryan to finish the game off by making that 2020 Merit Lage. Ryan chooses to get back some of his lands with Life from the Loam, plays them on the end step with Mana Bond, and I believe that he's going to strip the remainder of Sterling's lands and hopes and dreams and everything else. Looks like Sterling on his upkeep is unable to pay for the Reality Smasher. It goes to the graveyard via the destruction clause from Pendle Haven. Tabernacle at Pendle Vale, not Pendle Haven. There's a Cavern of Souls. Sterling sticking it out a little bit longer as the Merit Lage combo happens. The land, or as this is called, the lands combo, and Merit Lage, represented by a foil 7th edition Stormcrow, is here to ruin Sterling's day. And that will be all she wrote. Dredge back a Life from the Loam for posterity. Enter the combat phase, I assume, and call it a day. Oh no, Sterling will fall to 1. I forgot he gained a life from that Punishing Fire earlier. Now he'll go up to 22, and the resulting Punishing Fire should finish the game off. This is somewhat of a formality at this point, as this should be enough to finish Sterling off and send us into game 3. So after an unfortunate start for Ryan, which involved some failure to de-sideboard, he has evened the matchup at 1-1, and we will go back to the sideboards again. Now we didn't see the Leyline of the Voids out of Sterling that game, although I presume he definitely should or would have brought them in. Like we mentioned before, the Ratchet Bombs could be all right. They're not the greatest, but they would deal with things like Exploration and Mana Bond. The Pithing Needles will deal with Wasteland and Rishadan Port, or the Thespian Stage combo kill, and like we said before, Winter Orb is just a very solid card against a deck that needs lots and lots of mana and has lots and lots of lands. From Ryan's side, if he suspects any of those things could be coming in, he might want to have some of his Krosan Grips boarded in. Otherwise, the bulk of his sideboard is dedicated to trying to beat combo decks and to tighten up his matchup against things like Miracles. So I don't think Ryan is likely to actually board much of anything. Maybe some Krosan Grips, probably not even that. His main deck is just very well suited to fighting a deck like Eldrazi. And it's also worth noting here that Sterling did not have a fast Chalice or fast Thorn of Amethyst opener, but he he will almost certainly want to aggressively mulligan into something like that, or at least consider aggressively mulliganing into a hand like that, as that is a really good way to buy himself the necessary time to win this match, by getting like a turn one Chalice on one, or a turn one Thorn of Amethyst, followed by some more hate pieces, something like a Chalice or a Trinisphere. While we do wait for these players to sideboard and decide what they might want to change, I'm gonna take a moment to talk about JC's House of Cards, the comic shop, or sorry, the card shop and game store that is sponsoring the Legacy Tour this month. JC's is a great store located in Madison, Alabama. They keep a huge inventory of Magic the Gathering singles, along with some of the other card games like Force of Will, Yu-Gi-Oh, and the like. They also have all of the ancillary products you might want for such card games, like deck boxes, playmats, binders, sleeves, and all the paraphernalia. JC's hosts card tournaments like Force of Will and Magic the Gathering almost every night of the week. They're open 7 days a week, most days as early as 11 o'clock in the morning. So a very productive, very busy store. We encourage you all who are in the Madison, North Alabama area to check out that store and send your business JC's way, excuse me, as they're just a phenomenal store and a great host and sponsor for MTG Training Grounds and the Legacy Tour. Looks like Ryan has in fact decided to bring in at least one or I think two there of the Crossing Grips, as he is presumably somewhat scared of the hate cards like Chalice of the Void. Um, it's really cutting down his development and his speed. The problem for it, of course, is that if Sterling has an opener with Chalice of the Void, the earliest that Ryan would be able to Crossing Grip the the Chalice is probably on turn two, if he has a Mox Diamond hand that can power out to 3 mana. And and while that would does give Ryan a chance to get back into the game and sort of an out to an early Chalice, it also means that Sterling gets a lot of time to develop his board and to potentially put Ryan under a lot of pressure, while he's not doing things like dredging life from the loam and finding Maze of Iths or Glacial Chasms. So these players will present, and we will get this match underway in just a minute. Now Sterling has or should have the play this game, so that'll be very very advantageous to him, if he can get one of those good openers. Can't quite see. It looks as though he does have at least one Leyline of the Void, which is really good in this matchup. Now, if Sterling decides to keep his hand um, on the power of that Leyline, I hope he has enough other things to go with it. Um, we will see in just a minute. Ryan patiently waits to see what Sterling chooses, and Sterling has chosen to keep. Ryan is throwing his back in hopes of a better six. There were 24 players out for the Legacy Tour today, so that means we will be having 5 rounds of Swiss. We are only in round 2 right now, so 3 more rounds of Swiss action coming, followed by a single elimination top 8. Ryan is going to keep this hand, take his scry. Looks like he has a Maze of Ith, Thespian Stage, and I can't tell what the rest was, but Sterling is going to lead out with his Leyline of the Void. He kept an opener, presumably on the power of that, and an Eldrazi Temple, no follow-up creature. Ryan draws for the turn. Looks like it was another land of some sort. Another Thespian Stage, or I mean, Rishadan Port. So Rishadan Port is the discard to the Mox Diamond, and a gamble. Ryan is tutoring up a Molten Vortex as he can't really go for life in the loam here. He can't. He needs a way to either get around or um, get rid of that Leyline of the Void before any of his spells will matter. Um, just going to double check real quick. I don't think Leyline of the Void is a triggered ability. I just want to double make sure that it is not, as that would be important for if it's a triggered ability, then Sterling would be required to remember when cards go to the graveyard. But no, it is not. It is not. It is a replacement effect, and as a result, cannot be forgotten. Looks as though the discard for Gamble was another Rishadan Port, and Ryan has opted to not play a land, presumably keeping them back to use as cannon fodder, more or less, for the card that he found the card he tutored up with his Gamble. Things like Matter Reshaper, I believe that is, are going to be ones that he can get rid of with his Molten Vortex. I think that's what that is, Molten Vortex. Apologize to the viewers that card is a little more recent addition to the lands deck. It used to rely, yeah, it's Molten Vortex. Sorry, it used to rely pretty heavily on just punishing fire, but in this case, the Molten Vortex uh, is sort of a more recent tech um, to deal with decks that commonly play Graveyard Hate like Leyland of the Void or Rest in Peace or the like. All right, so Ryan takes his opportunity to tutor up a Taiga. Sterling sends in. Uh, the Matter Reshaper survives a turn. Sterling deploys a Wasteland. He's going to use it on the Taiga. Presumably, this will draw a response out of Ryan. I think he'll discard to deal 2 damage to the Matter Reshaper. No, he's doing it right to Sterling's face, ignoring the creature as Sterling casts a Ratchet Bomb, a very good card in this situation, as Ryan is somewhat dependent on that Molten Vortex to keep him alive or to deal damage in this game, and now Sterling has a very clean answer to it. Sterling missing his opportunity to put a counter on the bomb, although it's possible he didn't want to put this was an intentional miss, if you will, and that he's planning to use the bomb to destroy Mox Diamond instead of the Molten Vortex. We'll see what he chooses to do in the ensuing turns. Like I said, it's possible he missed the opportunity to put a counter on it, and it's possible he's just not putting a counter on it because he knows that Ryan is tight on mana and destroying that Mox Diamond. Now, here will be the test as Thought-Knot Seer comes down, and Ryan is going to be forced to reveal his hand, spilling all of the information and letting Sterling know just what he's up against. So there is a crop rotation and a punishing fire. In this case, the crop rotation represents the possibility of a lot of different cards. It's protection from a wasteland, so Sterling will correctly choose that card and pass the turn back to Ryan, who takes a draw step, finding himself an exploration, which he is reluctant to cast, presumably because it would just get caught up in the fallout from the Ratchet Bomb. Um, if it were to tick up to one charge counter. Sterling is probably going to deploy another land here. This time a City of Traders, which would allow him to play something like a Reality Smasher if he had it. He does not, but he has 2 creatures, so the Matter Reshaper is able to get through and deal 3 additional damage. I think we might see another Matter Reshaper coming in here, so that increases Sterling's attack force, and Ryan takes a draw. Looks like it was a gamble. As the card name implies, it would be somewhat of a gamble at this point, given that Ryan only has 3 cards in hand. He would have a 1 in 3 chance of losing whatever card he went for with his gamble. So if he can afford to wait, he might want to sort of slow roll this gamble, hopefully to give himself an opportunity to get more cards so that he can ensure whatever he gambles for will stay with him. The downside to that is that Sterling is presenting such a clock now that he really can't wait too much longer. He may have to just hope to sort of luck his way into um, some of the cards he needs and just risk the gamble right now, or sort of take a gamble, I guess you could say. Um, I saw Croson Grip as one of the cards pulled to the front. That presumably would be to answer the Leyline of the Void, which then would give Ryan a chance to sort of claw back into this game. I see he's also found Maze of Ith, which while it can slow Sterling's clock, it's not a very good answer, as Sterling will almost certainly find more creatures as the game progresses. Unfortunately, Ryan decides that the Maze of Ith is what he needs. It's the card most likely, I guess, to buy him the time necessary to get back into this game. And you know, I'm not a lands player. Maybe Ryan knows that his chances are slim, and this is the best, right? All right, so Sterling will roll a die. We are going to lose card number 1. It is Punishing Fire. That one Sterling knew about. So Ryan is able to keep his Maze of Ith. He plays it, and he's bought himself a little more time. Now, something like a Pithing Needle would make this all for naught, and Ryan would almost certainly be dead in a turn or two. But I'm a little surprised to not see any use of that Ratchet Bomb yet. I wonder if Sterling has forgotten about his bomb and is now just going on the beat down plan with all of these Eldrazi. Sterling sends the turn back. Uh, no land play, so I assume that means there is nothing forthcoming or nothing worth playing. Um, we will see. Ryan untaps and has to just send his turn back as his draw for the turn was nothing he needed. Um, we've got some more damage, more attacks, more activations of Maze of Ith, and Sterling is another spell non-land card for Ryan. Um, his mazes of Ith are able to sort of blunt some of this damage, but 3 a turn is still not a whole lot of time for Ryan. I think at this point it's probably better served that he holds on to the land card that he drew, that it was a wasteland to use with the Molten Vortex. Again, still somewhat surprised to see Sterling not utilize his so before damage, Ryan's going to activate his Molten Vortex, and Sterling is going to get a Eldrazi Mimic, which can be put onto the battlefield with the trigger from Matter Reshaper. Um, and Sterling may have some more guys or some more creatures worth deploying. We'll see just what's in our future here. Looks like maybe yet another Matter Reshaper as Sterling taps 3 mana. Oh no, it was for a Trinisphere. Um, Although at this point, Trinisphere isn't going to actually do much against Ryan, as all of his spells that he wants to cast already cost 3. Um, Ryan takes a real quick turn again, and after finding what was that, a crop rotation, we are right back to Sterling again, who isn't really priced into doing much here. He could do something like if he has a wasteland, he could take out a Maze of Ith, and that would increase his clock, although it would come at the cost of that City of Traders. I think right now, um, what Sterling really wants is something like an Endless One or an Endbringer, just a big creature that can really deal a lot of damage and just get this game over with. Ryan has had so we have wow, this is a little unusual. A 12 power Eldrazi Mimic now, although I assume that's going to be ignored as the Mace of Ith target. It's somewhat comical, actually. Uh, we've got a crop rotation. 1 second. We have a judge call. I'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Looks like the Eldrazi Mimic has been dealt with. It seems that a land was drawn and Molten Vortex has been activated. That Ratchet Bomb really not doing a whole lot of work for Sterling, and he's giving Ryan an incredible amount of time to sort of get back into this game if that's what will happen. I don't know what Sterling is holding. He has quite a grip full of cards, but the Maze of Iths continue to do their work, and we see a Mishra's Factory deployed, um, and back to Ryan. So just a real slugfest here, slow game. Sterling takes his draw step. Looks like he found an ancient tomb, I think that was, and I'm not sure what else is in his hand, but it's just seems comical that he has so many cards and so little to do. Perhaps they're just nothing but a bunch of land. Um, Activation on the Mishra's Factory means that the team's coming in. The Eldrazi will probably be untapped. Um, yeah, the Eldrazi will be untapped, and we'll probably just see him if he has a spare land. He'll probably just shoot down the factory. All right, so Ryan buys himself another turn and another draw step. There's a Mox Diamond. That's another hit that doesn't really do a whole lot for him here. Um, Ryan's in a tough spot. Nothing here is really going to make this an easy way out. I think Sterling is heavily favored, even if he isn't drawing creatures, just as he has so many live draws and so much potential here for good draws. The attack step is once again blunted by Maze of Ith, and I think we see an Eldrazi Mimic coming. Ah, yes, Eldrazi Mimic costing 3 because Trinisphere sort of mandates that. Um, Ryan sends the turn back as he is unable to cast anything with all spells costing 3 mana. Sterling moves to the attack step, and 2 damage comes through. Not sure what the life totals are here, although Ryan has to be dangerously low, or presumably he will be dangerously low very soon. Now, Sterling has 6 mana plus that Eldrazi Temple, so with just one more land, Sterling will be able to start tutoring up creatures. If he has been unable to draw them thus far, he can certainly find himself a few more via that Temple, and that if nothing else will get the creature train rolling and get this game over with. Now Sterling has plenty of life to play with, so that City of Traders represents a whole lot of potential mana. Now there is an Urborg, so actually now you can use the Eldrazi or the Eye of Ugin, Eye of Ugin, to cast some spells. Looks like the draw for turn was a Reality Smasher, and 3 damage comes across. So that's solid, and that is the game. I guess I wasn't sure on the life totals. It looks as though either Ryan is dead or he knows he has no outs anymore and is just tired of fighting the good fight. So Sterling Richards will take this game and the match 2-1. Eldrazi wins over lands.